and welcome to this edition of The Current Report, our weekly roundup of what's happening in the world of digital media. The big story this week is the actor strike, which, combined with the ongoing writer strike, has brought Hollywood to a screeching halt. In fact, this is the first time in 63 years where both unions are striking at the same time. The last time was back when ABC, NBC, and CBS were the only three TV channels, and Gunsmoke was the #1 show. The top issues on the table for the actors are similar to what writers are asking for: higher residuals and protections against AI. These strikes come as the entertainment industry grapples with finding the balance between streaming and traditional TV, as how consumers view content fundamentally changes. To talk about all of this, we welcome in our reporter Travis Clark, who has been reporting on both strikes for The Current. Travis, thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
So what impact do you think these strikes might have on the advertising market?
Yeah, it really depends how long the strikes last. Some analysts think they could last months or more. If not resolved quickly, the strikes could impact the fall TV schedule and beyond, which would impact how many ad dollars brands are willing to commit to linear TV. We've already sort of seen that. Some companies are already reshuffling their fall TV schedules. We saw a Deadline report recently that, CBS will begin airing Yellowstone, which originally airs on the Paramount network, which is a cable network. So, we're already seeing, some of these companies already kind of prepare for a prolonged strike.
Now, you wrote in your story, too, that the extended double strike could intensify streaming concerns. In what ways would streaming be affected?
Yeah, the streaming industry has already kind of run into some obstacles recently. There's a lot of talk about how some of the major platforms have yet to reach profitability. But in the short term, these platforms could be better positioned to get through these strikes than, the linear TV networks, just because of their vast libraries of library content. And that could be appealing to advertisers too. So we could see some ad dollars flow from traditional TV to streaming.
What sense do you have about how the strikes could influence the shift?
Yeah, I mean, Disney CEO Bob Iger kind of put it pretty succinctly in an interview with CNBC recently. He was saying how the problems facing linear TV are worse than he even imagined before he came back to the company. But in the short term, actors and writers are fighting for better streaming residuals. If a contract is reached where they get, better streaming residuals instead of the kind of one-time streaming payout that has become popular with Netflix and other platforms, that would be more cost to streamers. And that would be something that, they'll have to think about in the long term. But like I said, it really depends how long the strike lasts, and that will determine what content is getting made and what advertisers are kind of willing to put their money on.
Well, thank you, Travis. I'm sure we'll keep reporting on these strikes as they develop.
Thanks for having me.
In the middle of all this, of course, Oppenheimer and Barbie both premiered today as one of Hollywood's biggest double features in a really long time. Brands like Barbie, of course, are having their Hollywood moment as studios are taking advantage of recognizable brands' intellectual property to drive people to the movies. And we can see this from the story of Jordan's sneakers and Air to the recent Flamin Hot Cheetos movie, which nostalgia is likely fueling all these ventures. These movies also provide an easy way to cross-promote brands' products and give a boost to their own bottom lines. All of this comes on the heels of the Super Mario Bros. Movie, which is the first movie to cross $1 billion globally at the box office in 2023. And this is just really the beginning, with several more brand-centered movies coming in the future. For more on the emergent synergy between brands and movies, you can read more at thecurrent.com. Next, here's our weekly roundup of what's making news across the internet. After more than a year of fears of a possible recession, some economists have changed their tune and are now expecting the U.S. will find a soft landing. The biggest reason for the change is that consumers have continued to spend. Business Insider reports that retailers have seen a shift away from big purchases to more essentials, but overall, shoppers have kept up their habits. The job market continues to be strong as well, with unemployment rates seeing record lows. This comes after last week when the Federal Reserve announced inflation has reached its lowest rate in 2 years. In other news, broadcast TV has hit a new low mark in viewership, according to Nielsen. Broadcasts made up just under 21% of viewing in June, about the same viewership Netflix, YouTube, and Hulu see combined. Overall, streaming jumped to a new record in viewership, growing by 6% to nearly 38% overall. And that's it for this edition of The Current Report. For a deeper dive on all of these stories and more, check out thecurrent.com. We'll see you next week.